Hello and welcome to my first ever crochet with me type of video. I wanted to record myself doing like a crocheting type of video where I talk and make something with you guys. So in today's video I'm going to be making a bucket hat, and I will include pictures of bucket hats that I've made in the past, but I'm going to be following the same pattern that I used with the hats that I've made, and I will link the pattern in the description if you want to make one for yourself. And yeah, I'm actually very nervous because I've never made like a video like this before. So hopefully everything looks okay, and yeah. And like I mentioned, I'm also going to be just talking, so it's going to be like a podcast style video as well. And I'm just going to talk about whatever it is, that's on my mind. So yeah, the colors that I'm going to be using for this hat are like different shades of red. We have like this maroon type of red. Actually, I don't know if y'all can see, but there we go. We got this maroon type of red, and then we got these like two different shades of pink. And yeah, I don't know, I figured this color combination to be really cute. And then I also have this soft pink yarn just in case, I run out of one of these other colors. And yeah, I'm very anxious, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and just get into making the hat. So before we even get into like the bulk of what I want to talk about, I do want to talk a little bit about this pattern. So I did find this pattern on Ribbler, and I was, trying to look for like patterns that included like bucket hats. And I found a couple, but none of them were really like, they weren't really giving what I wanted. And so I ended up finding this pattern, and sorry, I'm trying to figure out like how to position. But yeah, for those who crochet, you know how like when it comes to making hats, I think when you're first starting out, like it can be really tricky. And the thing for me is like when I've tried to make bucket hats in the past, like for whatever reason, like I just wouldn't be able to like figure out the pattern. Like every bucket hat that I've tried to make before making this one, like the hat would always come out like way too big. And I guess like maybe, it was just because my tension wasn't right, or I somehow managed to like mess up in the beginning and it just caused it to not be how it was supposed to be. But I became really discouraged from wanting to make any other hat besides like a beanie. But then I ended up finding this pattern, and it's so easy to follow. And so far, I haven't messed it up, so yeah. So for this hat, because it is like a chunky, I'm getting some more yarn. Because it is like a, chunky bucket hat situation, I am using 3 strands of yarn at the same time, which this is like, before, I started making these hats, this was like my first time using multiple strands of yarn at once. But I like how it gives it like that very sturdy, durable kind of texture. Also, with this, since like I'm not very good at like multitasking, so I just know that when I go to edit this, I'm gonna have to like cut out so many parts of me just like not talking, either because like I'm trying to, you know, focus on like actually making the hats, or, you know, I'm also just anxious because like I think for people who record themselves like doing their craft, it's just a lot more intimidating because it's like, you know that people are gonna end up watching this. So yeah, I'm a little this is very out of my element, I should say. So I guess to start off, I didn't really have like a plan as to what I was gonna talk about in this video, but I just kind of to, you know, make this sort of like a very chill, just like, I don't know, hang out type of thing. Because when I'm crocheting, I like to just put on a podcast or put on, you know, like a chatty type of video, because I think it helps me focus. And I'm not really the type of person that like likes to work in complete silence. I don't mind it, but I usually prefer to like listen to something while I work. And so yeah, I figured making a video myself would be interesting. And I've been wanting to like tap into making more crochet type of content because, you know, this has been a huge part of my life for like the past few months. And if you didn't watch my previous crochet video, then I am a beginner, I guess. I've been crocheting since January of this year, and so far my only like skill set has been making beanies and making like different types of purses, and just like focusing on making things that like I could wear for myself. I've made a rug for my mom, and I'm actually about to start working on a baby blanket for my best friend. But other than that, like, I don't know, I've made like very small projects here and there. I made like a cover for like my headphones, and I don't know, I just want to like branch out into doing like different, you know, types of things and whatnot. I will say the hardest part with crocheting is like having to, you know, get your yarn untangled. I probably should have did this before I started recording, but I'll try to, you know, I'll edit all this out maybe. But yeah, crocheting has been very like therapeutic for me, and I'm a very like, I would say I'm a very creative person. Like I love anything that has to do with art, and just like being able to, you know, make something out of nothing in a sense. And I'm also a person that really likes to, you know, work with my hands. And so I just feel like crocheting has just been like the perfect activity for me, because, you know, I get to experiment with different colors and different styles, and I just like being able to like hold, you know, the hook in my hand and just like, I don't know, just make something, you know. But yeah, if you haven't seen my previous crochet video where I showed everything that I've made leading up to April, then I would definitely recommend checking that out. And yeah, man, it's been really fun. Like, I've just been having a lot of fun with it. I mentioned this in my other video, but when I was like younger, I think it was my grandma on my mom's side. She had like sent me a knitting kit, and it was like this thing where it came with like this purple yarn, and it came with wooden like knitting needles, and it was like the needles that are like attached with a plastic band or whatever. And to be honest, like, I wasn't really interested in learning how to knit, mainly because I don't know, that wasn't really something that like I really cared about back then. And I don't even have the kit today, but I remember when I first attempted to learn, I couldn't figure it out. Like, it was just really hard. I didn't understand like how to hold the needles or like anything, and so, you know, to go from that to now, years later as an adult, I have picked up crocheting, and I've picked it up pretty quickly. It's just like, it's so funny how life, you know, works in that way, and I feel like everything just comes back full circle. So yeah, but outside of like crocheting, I mean, I like doing crafts, and like, you know, I do want to get into doing more types of like crafty stuff. Like, I want to get into, you know, making jewelry and like scrapbooking and whatnot. When it comes to starting new hobbies, I don't know, I have to like do like a ton of research on it before I can like fully commit myself to just doing it. And then I also like can get kind of overwhelmed with, you know, wanting to start something new, because whenever I see something as like a commitment, it's hard for me to like actually get started on it. And yeah, I don't know if that made sense, but I don't know. I definitely want to tap more into doing more like creative stuff, especially this year, because I feel like, you know, I like making stuff. I like handmade stuff. I like it when people, you know, make stuff for me. And, you know, I also just like how, you know, it doesn't really require that much money to start like a new creative hobby, especially if you're, you know, wanting to like make stuff for other people as gifts. That was also like another reason why I wanted to get into crocheting, was because I wanted to be able to like make stuff for other people, and not have to worry about like finances, because especially last year my finances were not great, and I was going through a lot financially. And so knowing that like I can, you know, like save a lot more money by just like making gifts for people, has definitely been like very important to me. Also, I apologize if like my hands keep moving out of frame or like whatever. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, the angles of this camera, and yeah, so if I keep moving my hands out of frame or whatever, like, you know, I apologize in advance. To be honest, I would probably recommend just not watching, but like just listening to this while you know, do whatever, because I definitely wouldn't recommend watching this as like a tutorial, because I'm definitely good, you know, it's not going to be as detailed as you probably want it to be. So But I mean, if anyone is interested in me doing like a more detailed tutorial on how to make this specific hat, then let me know and I can totally do that. And again, I will have the written pattern linked in the description. So I guess just talking more about like life stuff. I don't know, life has been pretty chill, I guess. Right now I'm just in this period of like, you know, wanting to focus on resting and also just focusing on, you know, keeping my mental health in check, because I don't know, so far this year hasn't been too rough on me mentally, but like, you know, I've still been having to deal with like life challenges and stuff like that. But I think for the most part it's been life has been okay. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was actually talking about this with a couple of my friends as well. But I did go through like a period of feeling very just like bored with life, and just feeling very stagnant, and just, you know, feeling very like, you know, my life is just very routine. I do the same shit every day, and like it's driving me crazy. And I still get those feelings even now, but I think I'm trying to, you know, change my mindset about it, and like kind of just viewing where I'm at right now is just like, you know, it's like being at peace instead of like, you know, complaining that like I don't have anything to do. Because like I'm a freelancer, and so like I do have a job, but at the same time it's like my job doesn't really require much out of me. So it's like, for example, I work for a podcast, and I have, you know, a few responsibilities. I edit for the podcast, and then I also recruit people to come on the podcast. And so it's like I kind of just work whenever I want to. It's not like I'm tied to like a specific schedule, even though I do have like specific goals that I set for myself every week as far as work goes. But other than that, like most days I'm kind of just chilling, just doing whatever I want, and it's nice, you know, I'm not complaining. But on one hand it's like, you know, I am kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now, because even though I do have this gig, it doesn't pay a lot, and I am trying to like, you know, find other jobs to work so that I can save up a little bit more money. And I've just been trying to figure out like how to budget and like how to not spend so much money, because like I feel like that's also hard. It's like, you know when people say like it takes money to make money, and it also takes money to be able to save money too. And I just feel like if you are already not making a lot of money in the first place, then it's hard to like save as much as you want, because, you know, bills and stuff. And it does make me feel very lucky and fortunate that I am able to live, you know, with my mom, and like not have to worry about like paying rent, or like not having to worry about, you know, paying for food or anything like that. But there are just certain, you know, things that I want to be able to like do for myself that, you know, I won't be able to do until I have a certain amount of money in my bank account. So alright, so I decided to cut and make some more progress on the top of the hat, and now I am at the part where I can actually focus and talk at the same time. So yeah, I think I was just talking about like, just, I don't know, being bored with life, and I think for everyone, like, it's normal to go through those periods of life where every day sort of feels the same, and you just sort of like have this itch or this desire to want to do more. And I've been dealing with that very heavily. I think one of my biggest aspirations in life is to be able to like move out of the suburbs and actually live in a city that just has a lot to do, which is why I really want to visit like New York and just like other major cities within the States, and just to travel in general. I don't really get to travel that often. Mainly it would just be for like, family reunions or medical type of stuff, or like, going to see family or whatever. But I don't know, just be able to like take a solo vacation. That's like one of my goals in life, is to be able to just like get outside of my home state and travel somewhere, preferably like across the country, So, but with that, it requires money. And like, as much as like people on Instagram and social media in general love to say like, oh, you don't need money to travel, it's like, no, you do. Like, you do. Obviously you need money for, plane ticket. Unless you have a car, you can drive, but like, you'd still need money for gas. And then obviously you'll need some kind of living accommodations, which also cost money, and you gotta feed yourself, which also costs money. So, yeah, money is just like really the main thing that's holding me back from living my best life, I guess. And it's hard being broke, especially because it's like, I feel like even though I'm still like very much in my early 20s, I do want to be able to like make memories and, I don't know, just like be able to experience more independence. And I feel like the only thing that's really holding me back is just I can't afford to go out as much as I would like. And it's not even, that I want to go out and like spend a bunch of money, but just to be able to know that like, if I wanted to take an Uber somewhere nice, I don't know. But yeah. I've just been wanting to like change up my routine, but I just don't really know where to start. Crocheting has been nice because it does keep me busy, I guess. And, it's nice to work on different projects. But I think ever since, getting adjusted to like the quarantine lifestyle and getting used to social distancing and like sort of like using COVID as an excuse to stay home, I'm now at the point where it's like, okay, I know COVID isn't as bad anymore. Don't get me wrong, like I still try to social distance as much as I can. I still wear my mask everywhere and whatnot, but like, COVID regulations are being lifted and it's starting to become a little bit safer to go outside more. But I also wish that I had like friends that lived closer by to me, because my friend that is like closest to me is like 30 to 40 minutes away, and in order for us to like hang out and stuff, like we would have to coordinate like, okay, who's gonna stop by whose house, and then also figure out, okay, what are we actually gonna do. It's not like I could just walk over to her house and like we could, you know what I mean, like figure something out. Like it requires a lot of planning. That's something that I didn't, necessarily like, I guess, take into consideration when it came to, being an adult. Like, just being able to like hang out with people requires a lot of planning and a lot of like coordination and just like aligning, schedules. And, as someone who is introverted, and who, gets burnt out easily from socializing, it also just requires like me to have like a certain type of mindset around hanging out with people as well. And yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to like work on being more open to like, linking up with people. But it requires a lot of like mental preparation on my part, and like a lot of like, I guess, hyping myself up. Because usually when, I do actually like meet up with them, I'm fine. But it's like the anticipation leading up to it. Speaking of which, I have been questioning if I might be autistic. And I say that because as I have been learning more about autism, and specifically like how it shows up in people who identify as female, a lot of the things that like I've been searching up have really like identified with me. And I'm not gonna go too deeply into it. That might be like a separate video on its own, but I don't know, man. I really just been wanting to like get a proper diagnosis on something, because I definitely think that I'm neurodivergent. At first I thought I had ADHD, and I still do, and I still want to get tested for ADHD as well. But I don't know, I just like my whole life I've just always felt different. Like I've never felt like a normal human. And like growing up, I never felt like a normal kid. Like when it came to socializing and just basic like shit, like being able to talk to other kids or like make friends, that was always a huge struggle for me. And it would be so intimidating for me. And like, I think from an early age, I understood that I had social anxiety. And it's something that I've struggled with my whole life, and that I still struggle with as an adult. And I just, yeah, man, I don't know. I've always felt like some form of like alien, compared to like other people. And I always have felt as if like everyone else just like already knows how to sort of like exist, and I'm the only one that like just can't figure it out. Like always just feeling like an outsider, not feeling like I've even gone through periods of like, not feeling black enough, not feeling feminine enough, not feeling all these different things. And so I've just really struggled with like my identity, and then to top that all off with like struggling with depression and struggling with anxiety, it's just a lot. And so as I've gotten older and I've learned about stuff like ADHD, autism, and like just what it means to be a neurodivergent, I definitely think that it explains a lot about who I am. And because I feel like I've always been misunderstood just as a person. Like I grew up a very quiet kid, and I used to be extremely shy when I was a child. just growing up, you know, the quiet kid, like I always felt pressured to like have to socialize with people. Like I would be teased for, being quiet, and I would even like have people around me like nag and complain about not being as social as like other people. Like that was like it was like an issue. Like me not wanting to talk was such a burden on everyone else, and it made me very insecure. And so I felt as if like I had to be something that I wasn't. And I don't know, like people would just sort of like treat me weird, or like, I don't know, treat me like I was stupid because like I don't know, it's just like I would be teased for like, oh, people would say like, oh, she's only pretending to be shy, or oh, blah blah blah. I would get comments like that. And I don't know, I've always just felt like I was just never good enough for people, purely because like I just didn't talk enough, I guess. And the one thing that like I always like hated and dreaded about school was like when teachers would like force me to talk in class, or like purposely pick on me, or like purposely make me like the group leader of a project just so that they can get me to like talk. And I always hated that shit. If you know, like when teachers would like do that shit, like purposely pick on the quiet kids, and then try to be like, oh well, it's supposed to help you build your confidence, or like whatever. But if anything, it just would make us even more introverted and more quiet. And even like with college, that was also like why I struggled so much with like in-person classes. Because especially being in like a classroom where the teacher would count participation as a grade, and it would be like 25% of your overall grade, it's just like, ugh. That's why I'm doing online college, because absolutely not. Like I think now as an adult, like I don't necessarily have any major issues with talking to people. I still kind of prefer not to like be outwardly social, because anxiety. And I'm just always constantly questioning like, okay, does this person even care about what I have to say? Like there have been plenty of instances where like I've tried to be social, and I've tried to like, talk more or speak up or whatever, and like most of the time like niggas wouldn't even care. Like people wouldn't even care, or they wouldn't be listening, or like they just wouldn't really show that much interest. So then it would just make me think like, okay, well, what was the point of opening my mouth in the first place? Like, I don't know. That's why I'm trying to learn not to be so like apologetic for who I am, because it's like not everyone is meant to be talkative. Not everyone is meant to be, super extroverted, and like even though I may not talk much, I can listen, which is something that a lot of people don't know how to do. Because I think people forget that, communication is a two-way street. But speaking more on like identity struggles, I think I've recently come to the conclusion that I might be, not even might be, but that I am non-binary. And that's like, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think that is like that big of a deal to say, but I don't know. Like, And just thinking about, you know, my life and just existing within, you know, like a female presenting body. I've always sort of like had struggles with like, you know, my femininity, as far as like fully identifying with like certain aspects of femininity or like feminine traits. I think, you know, ever since I was a kid, I've always been attracted to like androgynous styles, or even just people who dressed like androgynously. And like, I've never really been one to sort of really care about like gender roles or like gender norms, or, you know, what it means to be, you know, a ideal woman. Like, I feel like I had to care about that stuff because of, you know, growing up in the South, and like specifically, you know, growing up black and being raised in a predominantly black female household. Like, just, you know, stuff like that. I always felt as if like I just had to sort of conform to, you know, the quote-unquote rules about what it means to be a woman. But I don't know, it feels like the older that I get and the more that I sort of learn about myself, the more that like I really just don't care about like wanting to be perceived as anything, you know? And I think my whole life I felt as if like I had to care because everyone around me cared. And that's been tough to like sort of learn how to form your own opinions and your own attitudes about certain stuff, while also living in an environment that sort of like tries to spoon feed you how you should think about yourself or how you should express yourself. I think the idea of like the idea of gender is so like useless because like, I don't know, like who's to say because I was born with titties and a vaginal canal that like I'm supposed to like X, Y, and Z, or I'm supposed to only dress a certain way, or like whatever. Like, that just doesn't necessarily make sense to me. And even with clothes, like I would get comments, you know, here and there about how like, you know, I only want to wear boy clothes and I want to dress up like a boy. But it's like, I feel comfortable, you know, just like only wanting to wear baggy clothes, or, you know, neutral dark tones, or like not wanting to like wear a dress. Like, I remember even, you know, back during like prom, a few years ago, I really considered like just wearing a romper for prom, because you know, the idea of like wearing a dress, I wasn't, you know, really attached to it, but like I still went along with it because my mom, you know, she really wanted me to check out the specific dress place. And my prom experience, everything from picking out the dress to the actual day of prom, it was a whole mess, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I think now I'm definitely tapping more into like my androgynous sort of style. And don't get me wrong, like I love, you know, wearing certain types of feminine clothing as much as I like wearing certain types of like, I don't know, masculine type of clothing, but I just want to really fully embrace my you know, don't give a fuck attitude about clothes in general. Like, I just want to be able to just wear whatever I want and just express myself. Another aspect of that has also been, you know, cutting my hair. For the second time in my life, I have big chopped my hair, and I definitely think that like short hair definitely suits me. As much as I love having long hair, it's a lot to take care of, especially because it's natural, and if you know, you know. But short hair, I don't know. Something about it just like makes me feel like myself. It makes me feel like more like an adult, and makes me feel more, I don't know, just like sexy, I guess. And as someone who has always been called, you know, cute all her life, it's like I don't I don't want to just be called cute anymore. Like, cute is for little girls. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an adult now, you know? Okay, I'm going to cut again right here, and then I will meet you guys back when I get started on the brim. Okay, so as you can see, I am about halfway through with the brim. And you can see that I'm gonna have a lot of pieces to weave in. Typically when I'm doing these hats, I don't have to worry about weaving in the end pieces, but because I had to sort of like switch up the yarn that I was using, and a lot of the yarn is like scrap yarn, it just, you know, it does make the process a little bit more tedious, but I am almost done. Something that I also wanted to sort of like touch on was sort of like talking about feeling lost in life, and sort of like, I don't know, I've been dealing with this sense of sort of like dread, but then also kind of just like, I don't know, I feel pretty aimless when it comes to the future, and as far as like what it is that I want to do for the rest of my life. I haven't really figured that out yet, and a lot of times it does sort of make me stressed, because it's like, you know, I'll be turning 22 this year, and I feel like most people by that age are in their last year of college, or they're literally about to graduate, and I still have like a year and a half left to go with school. And you know, because I've taken so many breaks from school, it has pushed me back a little bit, but I also just feel behind in life in general. Like, I know that like nobody my age really has it figured out, but sometimes it's hard not to sort of like compare myself to other people. And I don't know, I honestly feel as if like I'm very driven by having some sort of like purpose, or having some sort of like task to do. And so whenever I have days where it's like I don't have any motivation to do anything, and I feel myself getting caught in a routine of just like wanting to do more but not knowing where to start, but then also feeling like I can't do much given the circumstances that I'm in. I guess, I don't know. But the thing is, like, I don't even really know what it is that I would want for myself long term. I don't think I've ever really had like a 5-year plan. I've always just sort of been winging it ever since, you know, leaving high school, and like doing the whole college thing has been whatever. Like, it's had its, you know, ups and downs, mostly downs probably, but I'm at a point in my life where it's just like I wish that like I had some sort of idea of like what my ultimate like purpose can be. Because it's like, you know, at least for now I can say that like my purpose is to be a student and to finish up my education. But then it's like, okay, what do I do when school is over and I'm actually done for real, you know? It's like, that's one thing about college that is so underrated, is like the structure that it gives you, and having to learn how to like structure my own day on my own terms. It sounds nice, but it's actually really tough, because ultimately, like, I hate, well, I don't hate working, but like the idea of I have to produce a certain amount of hours in order to earn a certain amount of monies. Like, it just, I don't know, like the idea of working and like capitalism and all that, like, it just sucks, especially when, like, you know, because of inflation, and it's becoming a lot harder for people to just like live within their means, and to just get by. A lot of times it makes me question, like, what even is the point of doing anything, or like, you know? So, but I just hate like this stuck feeling. Okay, I think for just the fact that like I am running out of yarn, I'm gonna stop here with the hat. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up right here, and then I cut right here, and then I'm just gonna go through all of the pieces that are sticking out and just clean it up, and then I will be finished. And here she is, the final product. Wait, let's see. Here is the final product. I will show y'all me wearing the hat, and this is how she looks. I feel like I kind of like how you know, the color sort of switches between like the base and the brim. Definitely wasn't sure how it was gonna look, but I really liked how it turned out. I think it's very cute. And yeah, just to give like a little close-up, this is what we're working with. And yeah, I love it. It's so cute. I definitely can't wait to wear it. But yep, that will conclude, hold on, that's gonna conclude today's video. Definitely give me some feedback on how you guys liked this style of video. Since it is my first time doing something like this, this definitely took a while. Usually it takes me about like roughly an hour and a half to make the hat, but because I was taking breaks and, you know, doing some of the work off camera, definitely pushed me more towards the 2-hour mark. But I'm definitely happy with how it came out. And yeah, let me know if this is something that you guys like, this is something that you guys would be interested in me doing more often. And then also let me know what other things you want to see me make. I can do more hats, or I could try, you know, experimenting with different types of things. But yeah, if you would like to get a hat like this, you can check out my Depop. I am taking custom orders for these types of hats, and all of the details about pricing and color customization and all that will be on my Depop. I'll have that linked below. Follow my crochet Instagram, sydknotsydney, K-N-O-T. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.